Hello and welcome to the Ruby on Rails tutorial screencast series. My name is Michael Hartle and I'm the author of the Ruby on Rails tutorial book, and I will be your host for this series. Before we even get started, I want to make sure that everybody knows that the entire text of the Ruby on Rails tutorial book is available online at railstutorial.org/book. Of course, you're welcome to buy the PDF copy of the book or to buy the print edition, which is, as of this moment, available for pre-order and might even be out by the time you watch this. But I wanted to make sure that the entire book was online so that anybody watching the screencast series could refer to it. Books and screencasts have different strengths, and this way you get the best of both worlds. At this point, I'm going to assume that you don't know very much about Ruby on Rails web development. If you have some prior Rails experience, you might want to skip ahead in the tutorial at this point. But if you are new to Ruby on Rails web development, or web development generally, it's nice to get an overview of what Rails is and what it can do. Ruby on Rails is a framework for making dynamic web applications. And we can get an idea of what that means by looking at some examples of sites written with Rails. At this point, my preference would be to show you some prominent websites that use Rails, but unfortunately the live lessons people tell me there are some potential legal issues with that. And so instead we're going to do the next best thing, and I'm just going to show you the company names and URLs for some of these sites. And I encourage you to visit these URLs and take a look at the applications in question, just to get a sense of what Rails can do. So first up is Shopify. Shopify.com is the URL, and Shopify is an online store builder written in Rails. Then we've got Scribd at Scribd.com, and Scribd is a document sharing and publishing website. Here's a website you might be familiar with. Twitter at Twitter.com is written in Rails. Then here's one of my favorite websites, Hulu at Hulu.com is written in Rails. Now most of these are newer companies, but there's a prominent old school brand, YP.com, the Yellow Pages run Rails. And finally, 37 Signals. 37 Signals makes a bunch of productivity applications, including a project management application called Basecamp and a chat application called Campfire. 37 Signals is the company that brought us Rails. Basecamp was the first Rails application. In fact, they were written together and Rails was extracted as a framework from Basecamp. As nice as it is to see some concrete examples of web applications written in Rails, as nice as it is to be convinced from examples that Rails can actually make cool websites, there's simply no substitute for actually doing it yourself, and that's what this tutorial is all about. This tutorial is a hands-on introduction to Ruby on Rails, where you'll get to learn Rails by example through the development of 3 separate applications. We'll start with the first app in this chapter, or this lesson, I should say, which is based on chapter 1 from the book. Then we'll make a demonstration application, or demo app, that will show off some of the basic features of Rails. And then we'll move on to the sample application, or sample app, and that will be a full industrial strength web application. It will be a small application. It's going to be based on a minimalist Twitter design, which is just about the smallest web application that we can make that's also useful. But it will be a real application. I'm not going to pull any punches with the sample app. But in this chapter, we're going to work on the first app, which is just something to get us started.